Look, can I tell y'all something? Try to be fast with this. But listen, let me tell you why blood is important to the exception in Matthew 19:9. So, marriage was consecrated by God through a man going into a virgin, an unmarried virgin, or a maid. Let me tell you why blood is important. If we look at the sacrifice of Jesus Christ on the cross, it was the sacrifice of the blood. If we look at all the sacrifices in the Old Testament, most of them involve, sacrifice of a slaughtered animal, and the blood consecrated those sacrifices. The blood consecrated Christ's sacrifice for us. So the act of going into an unmarried virgin, it was the breaching of the woman and her bleeding that consecrated marriage and made you one flesh. She had to bleed to consecrate the marriage. So let me tell you the importance of that. Women, you know what happened when you were a virgin and a man went into you. You bled, right? So let me get to you what Matthew 19:9 is speaking on. First, we got to go to Deuteronomy 22:13. I'm going to read this fast. Now, listen to this. If any man take a wife and go into her and hate her and give occasion to speech against her and bring up an evil name upon her and say, I took this woman and when I came to her, I found her not a maid. A maid is an unmarried virgin. Okay, it says, then shall the father of the damsel and her mother take and bring forth the tokens of the damsel's virginity unto the elders of the city in the gate. And the damsel's father should say unto the elders, I gave my daughter unto this man to wife, and he hated her, and lo, he hath given occasion to speech against her, saying, I found thy daughter not a maid. And yet these are the tokens of my daughter's virginity, and they should spread the cloth before the elders of the city. So listen, Matthew 19:9. If a man went into a woman and she didn't bleed, he could then accuse her of not being a virgin, and if she was unable to produce the tokens, meaning the clothes that she bled on, from being breached as a virgin, that man could divorce and remarry because she had been defiled. Sexual immorality, fornication, porneia. That's Matthew 19:9. In Deuteronomy 22, you can see a man tried to use this. In that passage right there, he lied because he knew that if he could prove that she had not bled on him, therefore consecrating the marriage through the blood, he could then basically offer a rebuttal to her saying she was a maid, an unmarried virgin. Because if she didn't bleed, without the blood, you have a marriage that isn't consecrated because you didn't go into a virgin. That is the importance of reading the entire Bible. You got to know that to know what Matthew 19:9 was saying. It says, except for fornication and marriage another committed adultery. The fornication is the act of somebody that was defiled already, previously defiled. She was defiled. So as a virgin, you ladies know you bleed immediately after, and probably a few days after that. And you would have, basically in those days, the garments showing that the blood is important. If a man went into a virgin and she didn't bleed, he could accuse her of not being a virgin. If she couldn't produce the articles of clothing, he's the exception to Matthew 19:9, because he can say, hey, this woman was defiled. She had already been sexually immoral. Fornication. That's Matthew 19:9. The blood is important. The blood consecrated the marriage. That is why you have to read the entire Bible. You wouldn't know that if you just read Matthew 19:9. Going in a virgin and breaching her and her bleeding on you consecrated the marriage and made you one flesh. So Matthew 19:9, again, if you go into a woman in those days and she didn't bleed, you could accuse her and she would have to produce the articles of clothing showing that she actually did bleed, that she was breached by you and nobody else. And if she couldn't, then Matthew 19:9 allowed you to divorce and remarry.